Good morning to the second race day here in Most, Czech Republic in the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship, and we're going to start with qualifying pretty soon. But as this really feels like home already and there's a really nice truck family happening, I was like, why am I not taking my own truck? Because I own a little MAN that I'm normally taking when I go to Bajas into rally racing. So let's take the moment, come with me, and I will show you how I live when I'm actually spending time at racetracks. Come on. This used to be a flower selling truck, so we made some changes, bathroom, kitchen, beds for the mechanics. So if you do a 24-hour race, for instance, you can close the door. This is where you have air pressure, tools, spare parts, normally many more racing tents that are normally standing outside, and all the tools, screws, whatever it needs. If you need a quick grip to be using stuff to fix my race stuff. Little office, because sometimes you have to print stuff, all the liquids, whatever it needs. And normally we have a physiotherapist also working in here. This is where I'm normally sleeping if I'm not racing. It's very small, but it really does the job and it feels like a home to me. So yeah, you can always grow, but you have to start somewhere, and I think this is really nice to have. Qualifying is about to start, so come with me, it's race time!
Good morning, everybody. Yes, thank you very much, Lena. A fantastic look there at how she spends her time at race weekends, or where she spends her time at least. And it is a very different day today here at Most for the second day of the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. My name is Chaz Draycott, commentating remotely this weekend from the UK, and my colleagues Joachim Eberts and Fonzie Cebrian commentating on the German and Spanish streams, respectively. It's, well, I'd say British weather right now at Most in the Czech Republic, or Czechia, as it is known these days. Very different to what we saw yesterday. Rain in the air and very moist conditions. We were quite lucky yesterday because it stayed dry all day, while I sat here and complained that it was leathering it down here in the UK. It's actually quite a nice morning here in the UK, so it seems like we've swapped roles for the morning. You can see some of the trucks moving around in the paddock now. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez just circling around to join up in the sort of staging area before the trucks head out for qualifying, the second qualifying session of the weekend. The first qualifying session, took place on Friday due to a very busy schedule with the other championships that are taking part on the circuit this weekend. There is Louis Requenco and Andrei Kurzim making their way down to the end of the paddock. Andrei Kurzim, by the way, has received a 3-place grid penalty for the first race of the day after the incident yesterday with Mark Taylor and Stefan Fass. It was deemed that Andrei went for a gap that wasn't there, and then obviously the other drivers tried to defend said position, but because of the fact that that gap was already filled, the incident took place. And unfortunately, we will not have Mark Taylor back out with us for the rest of the weekend. The truck, I've been informed by Steve Miller at Apollo that the truck will be taken to Sasha Lenz's workshop and have the roll cage repaired. The roll cage did its job yesterday, but unfortunately in the incident has received some damage. It's not broken in any way, it's stood up and withstood the impact, but you can't take any risks when you have a damaged roll cage, because all it would take would be another incident similar to that on a weakened structure, and then that'd be it. You know, it'd damage the truck, and you never know, there could be a risk of injury to a driver in that case, and that's never what you want here in motorsport. At the end of the day, safety is the utmost priority, and we all have to adhere to that, and unfortunately the team will not be racing today. We just caught a glimpse there of Sasha Lenz making his way out of the paddock, and as you see, the brollies and the hoodies are all out now at Most, but it's one of those circuits, as I mentioned yesterday, it could be raining all day like this, but in the middle of the day there could be just a period where it is 35 degrees Celsius and the sun comes out, boils it all, and it all evaporates, and all of a sudden it all changes. What we might do, though, is just have a quick look back at race 2 yesterday, because it was a very exciting affair. Plenty going on with 2 individual race starts. The first of which had, well, both of them had Adam Lachko on pole position. Some of the trucks showing the battle scars of the initial race, but look at what I mean about the weather. The conditions were glorious during the second race yesterday. Very sunny, very clear. And everyone was very excited for the first start of the day. Andre Curzin made himself apparent in that gap in the middle, and like we say, hit Mark Taylor, hit Stefan Fast. The three of them came together, and the race was red flagged. There was a bit of shenanigans further up the order as they all got to the red flags and realised that the race had been stopped. But as you can see here, it was Andre Curzin that tapped the left rear of Stefan Fast. He then went across the road and tipped Mark Taylor into the barriers, and the truck was dragged back, and a big repair job would be underway. There was a big repair job for Andre Curzin, and unfortunately the damage was too much for one of them, but Andre was able to get back out onto the circuit at least and join the grid. And a very interesting start the second time round as well. There was big contact between Lucas Hahn and Jochen Hahn down into turn one after a very busy start. It looked like Steffi Halm had missed the jump off the line, and there was a lot of argy-bargy into the first couple of corners. That meant a fight back for the two Hahns through the field, while a big train of them at the front all developed. It was Lachko from Halm, from Anderson, Albacete, Norbert Kish, and then Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. Eventually Norbert Kish would get past his teammate Antonio Albacete, while Jamie Anderson and Steffi Halm had a titanic scrap for second place, and then tried to put pressure on Adam Lachko, but Adam would hold on brilliantly to take a race victory at his home circuit here at Most in Czechia. And that wasn't because anybody else behind wasn't trying. I tell you, they were really throwing everything at it. But it was the number 55 in the return for Bagheera Zedem Racing, and that was the race victory for Adam Lachko. Marshals and fans all very happy, and of course Adam himself. Jamie Anderson and Steffi Halm also happy to get more podiums on the board. There is race 2 winner Adam Lachko. There was a bit of doubt in the air yesterday over whether he would keep his podium based on the fact that there was a bit of an irregularity in the speed of the truck at the start of the race, but it stayed and he holds on to that victory. Look at the conditions here though, the truck's slipping and sliding their way around. Lots of standing water on the surface. Lights ablaze as well. They have obviously no headlights in the usual location that the trucks would have them, way low down on the bumpers, but obviously for the fact that they could be damaged in any contact, the trucks have these very bright LED light arrangements within the windscreens. So qualifying underway now then. The drivers head out in championship order as of the time of the session, which sees Norbert Kish lead them out onto the circuit ahead of Jochen Hahn. But look at that there. Norby grabs an extra gear and the truck just spits the back end out instantly. But these are the conditions where Norby does best. We've seen him fly in the rain before. A definite example of that was the first race meeting of the season back at Misano. Second race of the day. He'd retired from race 1 with an electrical failure after leading. And then he was at the back of the grid for race 2, which started in rain conditions like this, and he came through from the back of the grid to win the race, and he won by a long margin as well. It was absolutely remarkable to watch by Norbert Kish. But Sasha Lenz, Antonio Albacete and Andre Curzin just behind, then Steffi Halm and Jamie Anderson as they make their way around in championship order. Interesting to see Jochen Hahn seems to be in a rush here. He sat right behind Norby all throughout this outlap that they're on. Usually you'd see the drivers sort of back out and take a bit of time to maybe open up a bit more of a gap between themselves and the trucks around them so they didn't get held up or didn't sort of meet the back of them if they were a little bit quicker over the course of a lap. Maybe Jochen's staying with him to see what lines Norby's taking. Jochen's got plenty more experience, but at the same time I think it's safe to say that it's common knowledge that Norbert Kish is usually the fastest in the wet. So the first times are coming through on the board now as they're outlaps, and it's a 2:41.8 for Norbert Kish. The lap times should be quite considerably lower than that when it comes to a full race pace lap. You can see the way they have to just tiptoe their way through the chicane and skip away on the exit. You can see the truck really throw its weight to that rear axle and just squat down at the back and power out of the corner. Back down towards turns 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. This pair of chicanes going left then right then left. This is a part of the circuit where you've got to have the traction here. Look, you can see the back end trying to break away there for Norby. Gets it to turn 10, runs a little bit deep, but that's probably the better line in the wet because you don't want to clip that inside apex and try and tighten it up too much. You want to sort of make more of a U shape of the hairpin. You want to stretch it out, so you clip the apex early on, let the truck run wide, and then tuck it back in and get a big slingshot on the exit of the corner. Back down towards turn 13. Again, just staying clear of any curbs. I think that's one of the main things here at Most. The curbs are very slippery when wet. They are very glossy painted curbs. As Lucas Hahn was saying yesterday, actually, after the first race, is a very low grip level here at this circuit, so it's a great place to come testing for these drivers. It's quite a slick surface, really, very smooth. And that's where the pre-season testing takes place, actually, at Most in Czechia. Usually takes place around March every year. I'm hoping to make it out there for the next one next year. First opportunity to see all the trucks and see all the drivers and teams without the full pressure of a race weekend where championship points are on the board. You can see again Norby taking what we call a wet line in motorsport here, running very far around the outside of the corner instead of to the inside. There's usually a lot more water on the outside of there in these conditions where it's not the usual optimal racing line. So it was a 2:41.8 earlier, and Norbert Kish brings the time down to a 2:18.6. That is considerably faster than Jochen Hahn, nearly 2.3 seconds clear. 2.4 clear of Jochen Hahn, actually. 2.2 seconds clear of Sascha Lenz. 2.5 seconds clear of Antonio Albacete. 3.7 clear of Steffi Halm. Andrei Kurzim had a drama on his lap. He's 10 seconds off the pace after that one. I think he's backed out of it. But Norbert Kish, yet again, showing us just how good he is in the wet in this thing. They've got such a good wet setup on that truck. Then again, they've got a really good dry setup on that truck down at Revace Racing. That is a beautiful, beautiful job. Adam Lachko has gone second fastest. He's half a second quicker than Sascha Lenz. Clearly a little bit of local knowledge coming into play there for Adam. He knows this circuit very, very well. He's raced here in many disciplines before, actually. And now he's calling on all of that experience to make something more of this session. Obviously, I had notes on Adam Lachko from last season, from when he joined us, because he ran a full campaign in 2022 with his teammate Teo Calve alongside him at Bagheera ZM Racing. Adam won the championship in 2017, and he was with the series for 12 years along that time. He took 4 race wins in his debut season as well, actually, back in 2011, so a very impressive debut indeed. But he's competed in all sorts of racing, in Spanish truck racing, the World Touring Car Championship. He's been in FIA GT and GT3 championships as well. Porsche Carrera Cup, Lamborghini Super Trofeos, and even, one of my favourites, the Skoda Octavia Cup, which took place in Eastern Europe. So Adam, well versed, like I say, whether it be GT cars, whether it be touring cars, or whether it be trucks. He certainly knows his craft very, very well, and that's the great thing to have as a driver, is that versatility to be able to drive many different machines. Sascha Lenz just crossing the line. Does he improve on his time? Yes, he does. He goes a little bit quicker this time round, but Norbert Kish has also improved with a 2:18.395 this late on. I say this late on like we're not even halfway through the session yet, sorry. Jochen Hahn improved on his lap time, also doing a 2:20.3. It's a little bit closer further down. Andrei Kurzim moves up to 6th place, but don't forget he's got a 3-place grid penalty for the incident yesterday. You can see just how tricky the conditions are there. There's just this tiny element of whether the truck's going to understeer or not, or whether it's going to oversteer on the exit as well. Look at that, the back end skating out there on Sascha Lenz's truck. Not sure if you can hear the audible excitement in my voice though, because I love it when these things are in wet conditions and they get slightly sideways on the exit of corners. They just change up through the gears, that rear axle kicks out. Just absolutely demolishes all traction on the rear as Sasha lends sideways down the hill towards turn 13. Unbelievable. Very, very close to breaking away completely there with Sasha Lenz. That was awesome to see. Very sideways. But still, pushing on and getting the most out of these trucks for a lap. This is the thing, these drivers are some of the best in the world because of the fact that they can handle machines like this in conditions like this. And again, Sasha sideways. I think that was a little bit too much though. It's put him offline for the following corner. It has. It really killed his momentum there on the exit of turn 17. Again, sideways. Look at it up through turn 18. You can see just how hard he's pushing. There's two very different approaches that you can take in this sort of session when the conditions are like this. You can either tiptoe your way around, keep it tidy and smooth, but just be that little bit too hesitant that it sort of costs you time in the long run. Or you can push the risk factor and just get the back end out and kick its head in absolutely everywhere. But look, even there on the brakes, look, Stefan Faas trying to get it stopped, and he's gone off actually. Stefan Faas going straight on into the final corners. Turn 20 and 21. Manages to keep the speed up through the gravel trap. He's skipping across it and back onto the grass, so Stefan Faas will be able to rejoin. But you could see the rear end just broke away slightly for just a moment, and then the front didn't want to react. It couldn't get the bite that it needed, and now he's going to have a compromised exit of turn 21 as well. You could see as he tried to get the power down, over 1,000 horsepower in these racing trucks. It did not want to play ball at all there, did it? He's staying over to the right-hand side a little bit more as well, and then gradually making his way over to the left, because it's not the usual racing line is the right-hand side, so there's a bit more standing water. Now here's another look. Now look at the back end of the truck. Just as he gets on the brakes there, it tries to get away, and you can see the back end wants to rotate, the front end does not. Slams on the brakes to get it stopped, but then decides to let off the brakes and skip across the gravel. That's the best thing to do. You want to try and keep the momentum up and keep pushing. Here's Antonio Albacete, just coming out of turn 10, down towards 11, 12 and 13. And a very miserable weekend for Andrei Kurzim continues. He's under investigation now for hitting a penalty marker. I believe it's the one out of the final corner. I think Andrei has hit that as he's drifted the back end out on the exit of the corner. If it is such, then he might be okay and might be able to get away with it, but it's when you've hit it with the front of the truck and hit it square on when the whole truck is off the road. That's the reason that those penalty markers are there at the end of the day, to make sure that you don't overstep it with track limits. Now, one of the benefits of a session like this for the drivers is the fact that because it's wet, the tyres may last a bit longer as well. Because they're not on such an abrasive, dry surface, they'll be able to get away with a little bit more. So you can get those extra laps in. You can stay out for longer and not really risk losing anything in terms of the following Super Pole session. So don't forget, the top 10 trucks that are out there right now will go through into another session known as Super Pole, where they will have to go again, basically, to reset the top 10 positions from this session. Andrei Kurzim has been given a penalty in the form of that lap time getting deleted. Jochen Hahn has just improved and gone second fastest. Look at how sideways they get around here. It's so much fun to watch though, isn't it, truck racing? It really is so much fun, isn't it? There is the aforementioned penalty marker that's almost been split in two by Andrei Kurzim's machine. And with a 3-place grid penalty, I wonder whether that will apply to Super Pole, or whether it just applies to this qualifying session. That's an interesting question. Because if he qualifies 8th, would the penalty apply then and kick him out of Super Pole? Or would he be considered 8th and then allowed into Super Pole, with the penalty being applied afterwards? That's an interesting one. I might have to ask somebody about that one, but still, we wait and see, I suppose. Andrei Kurzim making his way down towards the fearsome 6, 7, 8 and 9. Here's Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, current championship leader in the Promoters Cup. Jose Eduardo in his first full campaign in the championship and doing such a great job in this MAN. with the support of his father as well, Jose Rodriguez, who raced with us for many, many years. Jose Eduardo, I believe, one of the finest talents also in the French Truck Racing Championship. He's competed in that series for a while. I remember last year at the Nürburgring we were watching the Mittelrhein Cup, which is effectively the French Truck Racing Championship with a few more added in for the International Truck Grand Prix at the Nürburgring. And the capability that Jose Eduardo had there, he was nearly half a minute clear of the field in some races. It was just insane. And he's obviously shown he's a very good talent as well. It's not an easy championship to come into, is the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. When a driver makes the break up into this, the talent level and the machinery is just unbelievable. I mean, a bunch of our British drivers that have come up, you know, Mark Taylor and John Newell going for their first campaigns this year. They're very strong competitors in the British Truck Racing Championship, and they've made the step up here into the Promoters' Cup. And they've had mixed fortunes so far, but still strong progress all the same. That's the thing, these guys are very good at what they do. As Sasha Lenz moves up into third place now, ahead of Jochen Hahn. Antonio Albacete has gone second fastest, but it's still Norbert Kisch at the top, 1.4 seconds give or take clear of Antonio Albacete. Then Sasha Lenz, Jochen Hahn, Adam Lachko is in the pit lane. Steffi Halm crosses the line. Does she improve on her time? She does not. It was a 2:22.0 last time. Her best is a 2:21.3. It's Stefan Fass that is fastest in the Promoters' Cup, at the moment. Jamie Anderson down there in 9th place right now. So he's on the brink because he's only a 10th faster than Lucas Hahn, and then another couple of tenths faster than Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. All it's going to take is for one of those drivers a little bit further back to put in a blinding lap time if the conditions change in these last 4.5 minutes with change. And then they could be under threat. Oh, there's a big lock up there by Antonio Albacete, throwing it into turn 10. On a personal level, I still find it crazy. Sasha Lenz very sideways down the hill. Wow. That was very sideways, Sasha. Unreal stuff. I'm really not sure how he managed to keep that on the road, to be honest with you. That was insane. Again, just the capability and the driver ability is just amazing in these machines. I was going to say, though, I still find it crazy to see now Antonio Albacete's truck and remind myself that I've been a passenger in that thing, because when you see them on the outside here, they still look very lively, but when you're in the cab as well, it's even more lively. And what an amazing ride it is. But now we've got Jochen Hahn up behind Antonio Albacete towards the end of the session. 3.5 minutes yet to go, and it's still Norbert Kisch fastest at the moment. 1.39 seconds clear of the Spaniard. And I think Jochen Hahn's coming into the pits. Yes, he is. Kicks the back end out slightly. And Antonio winds up the T-Sport Bernau MAN for another go. Plants his foot through the bulkhead, down the start-finish straight, getting to 100 miles an hour, 160 kilometers an hour in 5.3 ton machinery. That's the minimum weight either way. Here's Heinrich Clemens Hecker in this very angular, very beefy looking Scania. Love the look of this thing. Heinrich Clemens Hecker won the Go and Stop competition, the Knorr-Bremse Go and Stop contest at the Nürburgring at the International Truck Grand Prix by the ADAC, or the ADAC, as they say in German. Hecker is now inside the top 10, actually. He's moved up into 9th place now and pushed Jamie Anderson down out of Superpole. Now, I'm wondering whether Andre Kurzim's penalty applies, but even if it did now, he would still be within that top 10 in Superpole, so the speculation can go out of the window there. Heinrich Clemens Hecker doing a great job here, behind Lucas Hahn, ahead of Stefan Fass. The rain certainly mixes up the conditions. Here is Jamie Anderson. They've got their new sponsor, Hofmeister and Meinecke, on the windscreen banner there. They were present at the Nürburgring as well to watch Jamie's progress and get involved in all of the antics. It's plenty of fun at the Nürburgring. Looks like it's plenty of fun this weekend at Most if the weather gets better anyway. There you can see the massive engines on these things. Nearly 13 litres in most cases, 6-cylinder, single turbocharger diesel engines, kicking out nearly 1,000 or over 1,000 brake horsepower, and nearly 6,000 Newton meters of torque. There on the side of your screen now you can see who the top 10 qualifiers are. It's Kish, Albacete, Lenz, Hahn, Lachko, Kurzim, Halm, Hahn again, Hecker and Fass. Anderson, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, Riquenco and Newell, the 4 potential drivers to drop out at this moment in time. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez actually is another surprise really, because he's usually the top of the Promoters Cup drivers when it comes to qualifying. He's been on pole in pretty much every single Promoters Cup qualifying session this season. This is Jamie now on a lap, and I mean on a lap. He's pushing, keeping it very smooth through 18 and 19 into turn 20, wide of the apex to use that wet line around the outside. He's going to have enough time here to get another lap in as well. He's brave there, uses the curb on the outside, but I suppose it's not a big power section. And then out of the final corner on the power, down the start-finish straight he goes. Is he going to improve on his lap time? 2:22.5 is his best. He does a 2:23.6, does Jamie. So again, it's not an improvement. So this final lap has to be the one for him. Stefan Fass currently on a lap as well to try and stay within that top 10. He's gone deep though into turn 6. Has to compromise it at turn 7, and that's going to be the end of that lap. I think he's going to back out of that one. Maybe not actually, doesn't look like it. It's great to see that big yellow flash on the rear end of his truck for this year, the man filter branding with the yellow rear hub as well. Love the attention to detail. The branding on Stefan Fass's truck and Tankpool 24 machinery has always been fantastic. Stefan's actually improved, John Newell has improved. He's gone up inside the top 10 now. John Newell moving up into Superpole, fantastic stuff for John. He's had a bit of a tough weekend so far, but just by about 1/10 of a second, he manages to make it through. He's knocked Stefan Fass outside of the top 10. And that could be all she wrote, you know. I'm not sure where Jamie Anderson is on the circuit. Just trying to see. He's been through Sector 1, and it's sort of on pace, actually, is Jamie. But by sort of, I mean he's 9/10 of a second off in just the first sector. But the whole lap was 4 seconds off, so we'll have to see. The middle sector here is nearly a minute at Moss in these trucks, especially in these conditions. Stefan Fass using all of the road, kicking up a bit of the grass on the right-hand side as well. And the 3-place penalty, I've been told. Thanks again to Alice Holloway, who's down there in race control, for the consistent information that is fed to me. She's told me that the penalty is basically applied after Superpole for Andrei Kurzim. Across the line goes Stefan Fass. Is it an improvement for him? Because that first sector looked very scrappy. Didn't look like it was going to be an improvement for him. And no, it's a 2:22.505. And his best was a 2:22.4. Here's Jamie Anderson then round the final corner, making a bow wave as he goes around the outside line. Puts his foot down, heads to the start-finish line. Is it going to be an improvement for Jamie Anderson? I'm not sure if it will be. 22.5 to beat for him. And he does it right at the end of the session. Jamie Anderson just beats John Newell into Superpole. Well, Jamie had us on the edge of our seats. Flipping egg, he really did. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez now could also take Jamie out of this. He could actually make it into the top 10. The truck sideways out the final corner slightly. He's had a bit more of a slow first sector than Jamie actually, by the look of it. Can he do anything with it? Across the line he goes. And Jose Eduardo Rodriguez stays where he is, a 2:22.7. His best time, a 2:22.511. Really unfortunate that for John Newell to just miss out on Superpole. But it kept it very exciting till the end there, didn't they, in these very tricky conditions. So going through is Norbert Kish, Antonio Albacete, Sascha Lenz, Jochen Hahn, Adam Lachko, Andrei Kurzim, Steffi Halm, Lucas Hahn, Heinrich Clemens Hecker and Jamie Anderson. Great stuff by Heinrich Clemens Hecker there. I believe he's the only one of 2 chrome-rated drivers. There he is, the Promoters Cup drivers to go through. And the man that put it fastest in that session, once again, Norbert Kish, is down there in the pit lane with Lena van der Maas.
Thank you, Chair Straycott, and thank you so much for sending us the British weather. I'm having a feeling you're having your hands in this game over here. So, Super Bowl is about to start very soonish, and before Norbert Kisch is about to leave, I actually meant to show you his tire. Maybe, okay, so no more interviews down here, because they do not have proper rain tires. They have like cuts, slicks, so when it really heavily rains, we already had this topic in the last races, they might have to stop the race. So I'm very thankful that it's only raining kind of, so there's a slight, like let's say it's like slightly wet. But I really hope that we will have nice races to come today and that it's getting better. So Jochen's also getting out again. Let's see if we can show you some more of the tires before they're heading out. But of course they're all fighting for Super Bowl and to be as much in the front as possible. Here, check this out. This is like the most they can have of a tire when it comes to rain. So everyone who is into racing knows that normally if you have a slick, there's no cut at all, which means if it's really hot, you have really nice grip, and the more wet it gets, the more slippery it gets, and this is exactly what we were seeing at the qualifying for now. So more interviews to come later on. I think Super Bowl is about to start, so Chas, sorry, back to you already. Thank you.
My pleasure, Lena. It was honestly some of the heaviest rain I've ever seen in the UK yesterday here in Crewe, in Cheshire, the wonderful Cheshire. I'll send you a video of it later. But still, it's certainly making the qualifying session and Super Bowl session interesting now with these mixed conditions. And as Lena explained there, these tyres really, really are not sort of built for wet weather, really. They're very lacking when it comes to having massive cuts in them and massive channels to spread out the water and dissipate it on the racing surface. The trucks have made their way down towards the end of the pit lane now. Instead of going out in championship order like they did in the first part of qualifying, they will now go out in the order that they just finished in. So the first part of qualifying sorts the order that they head out onto the circuit in for Super Bowl. Everybody donning the coats and umbrellas, but still enjoying the fun here at Autodrom Most. As I said yesterday, truck racing is really something, without the cliche, it really is something for all of the family. There's so many generations that can get involved in truck racing. Those that have been in and around the industry for many, many years, and then, of course, those that are young and upcoming and still find the trucks exciting. Now, there's a get-up. There's a proper get-up. Got the gazebo out, got a few beers on the go, got the camping chairs out. What more could you want, other than maybe a bit of sunshine? But that there, to me, as a motorsport fan, that what I just saw there, that's racing. Just a few mates all having a good time at the races, get the gazebo up and get the camping chairs out. That's proper, really proper. And look, all over the banking, we've got so many fans here to enjoy the show, and some of the companies and truck drivers that bring the trucks along with them as show trucks all got their own awnings and their own sort of mini hospitality set up and everything. It's such a great vibe, honestly. I was at the Donington Park International Truck Prix as part of the British Truck Racing Championship just a few weeks ago. On the Saturday, I took the opportunity to take my mum Christine and my stepdad Lawrence down there to show them truck racing for the first time, and they've fallen in love with it that much. They're actually going to book tickets to the Nürburgring for the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship next year. And then on the Sunday, I took my brother as well. He was a bit sceptical of the actual impression that truck racing would give, but I think the whole event really captured his heart, and he certainly enjoyed it. And it was conditions like this as well. When you see an entire field of trucks going past you in wet conditions like this, it really does boggle the mind. I can't repeat to you what he said when he first saw it, because it's not broadcastable, but trust me, it was a very genuine and heartfelt reaction. He's watching today as well, actually, I believe, so hello, Matt, if you are watching. There's Andrei Kurtin, sat in the pit lane behind Adam Lachko. So as I mentioned just a moment ago, just to reiterate that Andrei Kurtin's three grid place penalty, if I can get my words out, will be applied after Super Bowl. So he was not going to be given that one in the first part of qualifying. If he made it through to Super Bowl, that would be honoured, and then basically wherever he qualifies here, he'll be given a 3-place grid penalty. Now he can secure usually as good as the second row of the grid, actually, can Andrei Kurtin, sometimes even better. So he may as well go out there and try and qualify right now. A lot of you would maybe think, well, surely you just sit in the pit lane, save the truck, and just start from 10th. But no, it seems like he's just going to crack on and try and get a best of time in as he can. The T-Sport Banal guys were running very quickly down the pit lane to Antonio's truck before the session, and they had the doors open until the very last moment there, which leads me to believe he might have an issue with the windscreen fogging up. Hopefully not his case, otherwise he'll have to do what some of us call doing a Norbert Kish. And for those of you that know, definitely know, that's not something I can get too delved into, I'm afraid. But Norby making his way down to turn 6 and 7 now, and look, the standing water has been given a chance to sort of rearrange itself on the circuit. It's like a mirror finish now. Incredible stuff. And I mean, again, from what Lena pointed out in the pit lane early on, you can see just how much these trucks skate across the surface. There's no massive grooves in these tyres to spread that water out. They're literally floating across the top of it. And still they managed to make it work. It looks absolutely stunning, doesn't it, when you see the reflections like this and the trucks really going for it. Norbert Kish just moves that truck around with such confidence. Another important factor of this session is the fact that it's 10 minutes instead of 20, so a much shorter session this time for Super Paul. And Norby just guiding the truck around turn 15 there again, using the wet line around the outside. Sort of middle of the road there, though, for turn 16, which is interesting. It's definitely in corners where wet line suits and corners where it doesn't. Again, he's just able to keep that rear end under control through corners like that, and that's what makes the difference. Look at the amount of spray coming off it, though. So much being thrown up in the air. And through the final couple of corners he goes, just guiding it round ever so effortlessly around the outside. And all the back end coming out there, though, as he gets the power down onto the start-finish straight. That'll compromise his run slightly. They get to 160 kilometres an hour, though, and have to hold it as close to that as they can. It's a system that's controlled via GPS, so they'll get a big number on the dashboard. I've seen it before in Antonio Albasetti's truck, especially with they've got this huge screen and the number is very, very apparent. I'm not sure if they all have the exact same system, but they get it to the nearest decimal place. And it's amazing sometimes when you see just how close they can hold it to that, because the refresh rate is, I think, 2 or 3 times a second. So it's not an instant reading. And some of them are just so talented at holding it at like 159.8, 159.7. It's remarkable talent. But that's part of the art form of truck racing at the end of the day. It's not just about planting your foot in a straight line. As, oh, big lock-up by Norbert Kish. Very big lock-up indeed. That's one of the benefits of having tyre writing on these things, I suppose, is that you can see when the wheel completely comes to a stop. But that inside wheel did not want to behave there, did it? And again, look, it's just skating down the hill, but he's already cleared off from the rest of the pack behind. Pushing so hard through turn 13. Down towards turn 14, this long left-hander. Looks like a straight, basically, because of where the camera is, but it does gradually curve over to the left-hand side. Then onto the brakes. Smoothly does it into turn 15, all the way around the outside. And then again into turn 16. But look, back to the inside line here. Just avoiding the curb slightly, but staying to the racing line through the left-hander. Manage the weight over to the right again. Steer clear of the curb. Get the back end out. There's plenty of room out there. Get the truck over to the right-hand side of the circuit to open up this little kink at turn 18 as much as you can. There's Antonio Albasetti and Sasha Lenz and Jochen Hahn behind, all tiptoeing their way round turn 17 as well. They make it look easy, though, don't they, sometimes? As Jochen having to just control the back end slightly there. And here comes Baloo, the beautiful big red MAN for Revache Racing. Such a potent machine with a potent driver behind the wheel. And across the line goes Norbert Kish. What is the lap time this time round? It's a 2:21.575, and that is still quicker than a bunch of people went in the earlier session as well, and that's with that mistake. Down at turn 10. In come the rest of the times. 2:25.0 for Lenz, 2:24.4 for Jochen Hahn. He goes second fastest. Antonio Albacete goes 4th fastest with a 2:25.9. Almost like these guys have put themselves in a race scenario right now, as Kurzim's gone 3rd fastest. That's what I mean. Kurzim could do a great job here in this session and still start from about 6th position. Adam Lachko's gone 2nd fastest. Steffi Halm has gone 4th fastest. I wonder whether these drivers being at the front of the train now, being the sort of guinea pigs to find where the grip is, are struggling because of that. Apparently race 3 is looking to be a wet race as well. It looks like these conditions are not going to get much better before race 3 begins later on in the day. As scheduled, we have the broadcast for race 3 to start at about 11:45 local time. Sorry, 11:45 UK time, my apologies. 1:45 in the afternoon local time at the circuit. And then the 4th and final race of the weekend to start at 4:15 local time in Czechia. That's if we can see the clock by then, because we certainly can't see much, can we? A lot of spray in the air. Sasha Lenz moving out of the way there for Jochen Hahn to go on through. This is very, very wet now, isn't it? Look at the almost perfect mirror finish on the circuit. A lot of standing water off the racing line. Adam Lachko making it work though in that Bagheera ZM Racing Freightliner. The Freightliners were always good in the wet. They've not got much of a difference in weight distribution to the other machines around them, dependent on the sort of layout that they've got. Obviously they're a lot longer nosed, are the Freightliners, but Adam's definitely made it work. And Norbert Kish, well, looking like he was going to go into the pits there, but he's still got 3 minutes to go in the session, so he may as well stay out and crack on and get some more laps in, I suppose. I said before, it's down to the fact that it's a wet session. The tyres will not be getting as shredded as they normally would do. As we pointed out, they don't have wet weather tyres, which, when the circuit dries out, they get absolutely ruined. There's none of that here. They're on the same tyres whether it's wet or dry. Which in itself sounds crazy, doesn't it? But again, it's part of the spectacle. Lucas Hahn is 6th fastest at the moment, by the way. He's ahead of Sasha Lenz and Antonio Albacete. Jamie Anderson 9th, Heinrich Clemens Hecker is 10th. It's Norbert Kish and Adam Lachko at the front, then Andrei Kurzim and Steffi Halm. So, meaning no disrespect to those drivers, it's great to see the shaken up order in this qualifying session. There is Andrei Kurzim. Kurzim would start from 6th on the grid, though, with this one, so that would put Lucas Hahn up into 5th, Jochen Hahn 4th, the Steffi Halm up into 3rd. So moving all of the Ivecos around inside the top 6. Kurzim tries a different line there into turn 6 and overdoes it slightly. He was just tucking it to the inside a little bit more, wasn't he? Trying to use that offline grip. But I mean, it doesn't look like there's grip anywhere at the moment, does it? Look again, the way the truck is behaving through the corners. Trying to kick the back end out. Or trying not to kick the back end out. He certainly does so on the exit. There's Lachko going down the hill ahead of Antonio Albacete, then Sasha Lenz, then Jochen Hahn. I think Jochen and the guys are trying to sit behind the truck in front, hoping that they have pushed a little bit of water off the racing line. So it's almost like using them for slipstream, but not using them for slipstream as Antonio Albacete's gone off the road. He's off on the exit of turn 13. And he comes back on. I think Andre there just backing out to let him come back on in a safe amount of time. Only 45 seconds left of this session right now. And it could all still change. That's the beauty of it. The rain could quickly let off and the track could become a lot warmer. That's what the climate is like here in Most. It's very Nürburgring-esque. 1 minute it could be snowing, the next minute it'll be cracking the flags, as my old man would say. But it's still Norbert Kish at the front. That's all we know for now, really, other than the current standings, but whether any of that's going to change, we don't know. Adam Lachko tucks it to the inside line there at the final corner, which is an interesting move. Plants his foot down the start-finish straight. Is he going to cross the line in time here to get another lap in? That was close. That was very close. I'm not sure if Lachko crossed the line there to get another lap in. We'll have to wait and see what his first sector is like. But that literally ticked over to 0 as he crossed the line there. I was checking my timing screen on the right-hand side to see if there was anything of sorts. Steffi Halm crosses the line, and she remains 4th fastest with a 2:38.8 that time round, so that was some 5 seconds slower than her best. Jamie Anderson remains in 9th position, the truck not working as well in the wet conditions. Antonio Albasetti's come into the pits, he's 8th at the moment. Sasha Lenz continuing on. Is there any movement inside the top 10? We'll have to see. Not sure if there's anyone else out on a lap at the moment. Seems like Sasha Lenz has started a lap, actually. He's done 36 seconds in the first sector, which is quite a good time, actually. We'll have to see whether he can make it work for the rest of the lap, though. But unfortunately, the wet weather, the rain here, not letting off at all by the look of it. Still, fans remain vigilant. They remain out there and stay strong, stay sturdy. At the end of the day, that's why we invented umbrellas, eh? But it's Norbert Kish, Adam Lachko, Andre Kurzim, Steffi Halm, Jochen Hahn, Lucas Hahn, Sasha Lenz at the moment. I think Lenz is still pushing, but we'll have to wait and see whether he comes back into the pit lane or whether he continues on. Actually, no, I think... No, he's not actually. Sorry, he's backed out of that lap now. I think everybody that crossed the line a moment ago was done for the session. I mean, there you can see, look at that, the difference in conditions to yesterday. We had a beautiful clear view of that fantastic tower over Most yesterday. And now you cannot see a thing up there. It's a very interestingly scenic and beautiful circuit, is Most, because it's got this fantastic valley and beautiful greenery all around it. But then at the same time, there's a colossal power station within view as well, just in the industrial area of Most, just on the outskirts. And there you go, there's a proper get-up as well. Look at this, some of the fans here have gone all out, I love it. But again, that's one of the transport companies that makes their way to the circuits like this, and they put on a real good show, and they enjoy themselves throughout the entire weekend, rain or shine. It looks like everybody coming back into the pit lane now. And you can hear the rain spattering on the protective casing around the camera. And now we end the Super Pole session. And that will mean that Norbert Kish takes pole position yet again from Adam Lachko. Andre Kurzim qualified 3rd, but will start 6th on the grid. So that means Steffi Halm will be in 3rd place. Jochen Hahn will be in 4th. Lucas Hahn will be in 5th. And then it'll be Andre Kurzim behind him. Next up, we will have Sasha Lenz in 7th place. Antonio Albasetti in 8th. Jamie Anderson in 9th. And Heinrich Clemens Hecker in 10th. And don't forget that the first race of the day is the one that pays more points, so this is the important one to score. Lena is down there with Andre Kurzim for an interview.
Andre Kurzim, you're a rain driver. I was just watching you in Super Pole. You're currently 3rd. Do you love rain?
Yes, for us, nice conditions here, and yes, I like rain every track, and yes, no, P3 for us, but we get the penalty of 3 positions, P6 for the race. It will be okay for this weekend.
Yeah, but I really like to see you go fast, and I quickly have to show the tire again. Maybe you can quickly explain what it means to only have a cut slick when it's rainy like that.
Yes, we don't have rain tires, and yes, it's very difficult. At the end of the qualifying, it will be rain very hard, and yes, it's very crazy, but it makes a lot of fun.
What does the surface feel like? Because we were hoping that you would like kind of push the water away where your driving lane is, but it didn't look like it.
I think we can try it if you go by shoes on ice. Nearly the same.
All right, so I really hope the best for you guys, that it's gonna trade down a little bit maybe. Also, I really like to see you race because I'm having a feeling you might be fast if it stays like this. Thank you so much. And Chas, back to you. And how did you say that the rain is not tripping on me? Like, what was your word for it? It was a really lovely word.
I don't have a clue, Lena, to be honest. I just talk rubbish for a living. I don't know what I've said half of the time. There is the engine, though, in the back of the wonderful racing trucks that we see here. Just the size of all of the internals, the bodywork, the actual chassis itself, the roll cages, the crash structures. There's so much going on back there, but it's awesome to see because sometimes the mechanics sort of step into it and work on the truck from within. There you go, then. There is your results of qualifying. Norbert Kish and Adam Latchko will make up the front row. They'll be followed by Steffi Halm, Jochen Hahn and Lucas Hahn because of that penalty for Andre Kurzim. That drops him down to 6th position. Sasha Lenz and Antonio Albacete make up 7th and 8th on the 4th row of the grid, with Jamie Anderson and Heinrich Clemens-Hecker making it through into Superpole in these interesting conditions. John Newell just misses out, but Stefan Faas and Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, the two leaders in the Promoters' Cup, will start 12th and 13th, with Louis Requenco rounding out our now 14 truck field. And we're going to go back to Lena one more time to say goodbye, but I will see you later on, everybody, for race number 3 of the weekend. Catch you soon.
Thank you for watching qualifying number 2 on race day number 2 here in Most in the Czech Republic. We will be back 12:45 p.m. Note it down on your schedule or set an alarm because this is going to be a really great, amazing third race of this weekend. See you soon.